products and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage of vision on StarTime's DTH Channel, broadening your horizon.
Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel. President Tinubu departs for fighting IGP Egbetukun Plus. Tinubu has departed for Paris to join world leaders in Paris, France, list for support and investment. Following the devastating impact of duties, communication and strategy Dele Alake, the president will join other priority lists for support and investment following devastating impact of climate change. France at Pallias Brognet will look at projected mobilize innovative financing for countries vulnerable for the energy transition in emerging and developing economies. Return to Abuja on Saturday. Meanwhile, Nuhu Rabadu as his new National Security Advisor General of Customs, even as he removed all service chiefs that he met in office. The architecture be rejected and fresh hands allowed to handle the nation's security. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetukun Asa Nuhu Rabadu, Chairman of Progressives Forum Ojakume, and the immediate past IGP Osman Alkali. Meanwhile, the government has appealed to religious leaders to restructure its hospitals to appeal today at the commissioning of the modern dialysis. Olufunso noted that years ago, missionary hospitals appealed to religious leaders to go back to those old religions and revisit the construction and the organized labor presented by the Nigeria Labour Congress and implements the resolutions arising from the demands of labor over recent revolt of the National Industrial Court yesterday reiterated that her order of June 5th restraining and the leadership of the NLC and the TUC agreed that all the issues and demands were housed in coordinating the technical subcommittees on different items. 23 election, Atiku Abubakar still have 74 nation's capital. Out of 100 witnesses expected to be the emergence of the then candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC, Bola Tinubu, president is one of the aggrieved parties before the tribunal has fixed July 13 for the ruling on the enforcement of a Justice Hamza Moazu fixed the date after listening to submission. The Director General of the State Security Service and the State Security Service that the first respondent is challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear the case brought before the executive and that the jurisdiction is determined by the relief sought. Embattled CBN buses being detained on the order of an FCT Chief Counsel I. Awo informed the courts that there was a subsisting order. The DSS and the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation requested an In another development, the immediate past Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom was in EFCC's office today following an investigation by the anti-OGRA Makodi around 10:08 a.m. He was late assistant Abraham Kwagu. Reports say Meanwhile, the spokesperson for the AFCC, Wilson Owujarin, of the law enforcement agency, as of the time of filing this report. To President Bola Tinubu to sign into law the bill for an act to exit met the appeal in a statement today in Abuja. Ayewomi said that any case of misappropriation in their retired benefit dues, while asking entrance meeting to the president for his ask. Back here, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says it has arrested a total of 205 state between July 2022 and May 2023. The commander of the NDA against drug abuse and illicit trafficking in Uyo, she revealed that the NDLEA sold 160 persons who used drugs offenders within the period. Bassi said that prevention is a vital tool against as minimum in the state. Now to Africa, where the head of United Kingdom in Sudan was now more than 500,000, while 2 million are internally. The UN has passed the mark of 500,000 refugees from Sudan following the beginning of the conflict, has called for an orderly and responsible drawdown of the UN peace aid. The U.S. Department noted that it will continue to work with your partners, welcomed consultations with regional leaders on additional steps to promote commitment, notably transferring power to unelected civilian administration by diners with an axe at several Chinese restaurants in and started hitting people with a hammer-like thing. The police had said a Chinese national appeared to be racially motivated and was being treated as an isolated incident. Bavarian police say a cross that former Pope Benedict used to wear on his chest was in a case in the wall of St. Oswald's Church in Toronto. The police thieves broke into the case and took the item, which the former Pope had. Perpetrators, whose identities are unknown, also broke into a cash register suspiciously around the church to come forward. For Olympics organizers headquarters to stay with us. Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. On our business news, the federal government has confirmed that oil AGO, popularly called diesel. Officials of the Nigeria Customs Service and Federal Inland Revenue Service confirmed Order 2021. Their development was, however, condemned by Nigerians who pointed out that citizens were being reflected and perfected to further raise payment for diesel. When asked by newsmen if the NCS was named the development, an official of the FIRS, Toby Wojola, Naira has slumped further to the dollar after closing at 770.38%. Dollars is obtained from the FMDQ. The trading rate had closed at 608 Naira per dollars and hit a high of 799 Naira per dollars before closing at 770.38 Naira per dollars, to allow for a free flow of the national currency against the dollar and other global currencies. The banking regulator explained its new forex operations in its report on understanding the operational changes to the foreign exchange markets. By the market would only be done via the I&E window, and all other windows cease to exist. On the concept of the willing buying and willing selling, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, says it has started a nationwide mop-up of Abuja. Adeyeye explained that the action followed a recent discovery of the sale of uncertified, unregistered herbal medicine. The NAFDAC DG appealed to Nigerians, especially by the vulnerable groups, against the use of dangerous herbal preparations. This regulated product are sold and used by Nigerians. Recall that NAFDAC had on Wednesday, June 14, raided and sealed the production factory, have blamed the alarming rate of babies born with HIV in Nigeria on the lack of access to HIV testing, noting that people who test positive must be placed on treatment and encouraged to deliver in certified health facilities by mothers as other reasons responsible for HIV in infants. The medical expert called HIV testing to further prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Will say the raids are part of two preliminary corruption investigations, and the police are looking into allegations of favoritism. Organizing committee told newsmen the body was cooperating fully with the investigators. Meanwhile, the 2024 Olympic. Still in sport, Super Eagles head coach Joseph Basaro, Football Federation NFF, will run out at the end of this month. The NFF has struggled to pay his monthly stipends, and the Super Eagles have also struggled to make impactors pay month. According to a report, the Sarah will be asked to take a huge pay cut to remain as Sierra Leone's citizenship and heritage has called for a peaceful general election in Sierra Leone. He also reminded young people that they have a power in this vote, and that if the country, Africa and the world are watching. Meanwhile, Saturday's vote will be the country's 6th presidential vote since the military officer CSP Olumiyiwa Adejobi has called for the arrest of a popular skit makers to regulate their pranks as they endanger Nigerian lives. Sharing an extreme prank video of Trinity Guy makers pranks should report them to the authorities. He said it does not make sense and Trinity should be arrested. Are criminals immoral and evil? And that's what we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media at Spectrum T Online. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am